Let's make this beautiful Ankara skirt together. We'll be needing 1 yard of lining fabric, shiny trimming 1 inch by 7 yards, then light interfacing, which is optional. We'll need some Ankara patches that I've already pre-cut, just unfolding it. I cut 3 different sizes. The first is 6 by 6 inches, 6 by 8 inches, and of course 8 by 8 inches. I used two methods for cutting out the fabric patches. For the 6 by 6 inches part, I just traced out using my pattern, which is 6 inches, after which I cut it out with my scissors. I cut out 13 more pieces to have 14 in total. Then for the 8 inches patches, I just measured 8 by 8 inches and joined it together before cutting out. I cut out 5 more pieces to have 6, because that was what I use this method to cut the 6 by 8 inches patches. Next, I just arranged the fabric. I started by arranging the 6 by 6 patches. Normally I would use the 6 by 6 inches pattern for the front, but then allowance needs to be added to the side and the hem of the fabric. That was why I replaced all the 6 by 6 inches at the side by 6 by 8 inches, and the last two corners below had to be 8 by 8 inches, while the middle pieces were 6 by 8 inches. Please just look at the screen for more details. Just gathering my pieces, and I'll be sewing them on the wrong side row by row. Before, for the back, allowance had to be added to both the side seam and for zipper allowance, so I added the 2 inches allowance, making my patches to be 6 by 8 inches. I'm just arranging this way, but the bottom part should be 8 by 8 inches, since we'll be adding 2 inches seam allowance to the hem as well. Follow along as I arrange. I'm just making sure to mix and match the fabric so that they are not too close, but at the same time I'm getting the aesthetic effects desired. Once I'm done with the arrangements, I'm just folding it over, and that's how I'll be placing it for sewing. You can take your skirt a step further by ironing a stay or light interfacing on it. I just did it on some of my fabric that I consider too weak, but not all. I'm heading over to the sewing machine, and like I said earlier, I've placed the right sides together and I'm just sewing on the wrong side. Once I'm done, I use my finger to press it slightly, since I will not be able to iron every piece at the moment. Once I'm done, I've joined to form a row, and then I've joined 2 rows to form a longer piece. I'll continue to join till I'm done with the sewing and repeat same for the. I'm moving over to my pre-cut skirt pattern, and I'm just folding by that and pasting it, since I do not want a dart in this skirt. Alright, I've already gone down by half an inch, and I'm connecting it to the side of the skirt. I want the front part to slope slightly, and I'm measuring the width of my band. I want a band that will continue with my skirt. That's why I'm measuring the 2 inches spacing, and I'll cut it over to separate the two. Once I'm done, I'm folding my front part into Please note that my skirt pattern was not too long. That was why I continued at the lower part. So first I'm tracing my front pattern on my fabric. Once I'm done tracing, I'm adding seam allowance 2 inches and then connecting it together. Once I'm done with that, I'm grabbing my scissors and just cutting it out. My front pattern is ready. So this is me just marking half an inch from each joining. This is a guideline for my trimming or for the placement of my trimming. I'm marking it and drawing a line to show you. Continue with the other part of the fabric. Once you are done, you are going to be cutting out the trimming with respect to the length. I didn't want it to get to the side as this material can easily irritate the skin, so just be careful. Or you cut a long piece, sew the back and the front at once before sewing down the trimming. For the back piece, I'm also tracing my skirt pattern on it, but you are not going to be covering these parts. I remember to add the seam allowance at the side seam before cutting it out. After that, I'm just going to iron my fabric to have a more professional look, and I'm ironing both the front and the back. For the band of my skirts, I just joined 4 6-inch squares for the front and 2 6-inch square for the back. I made it into 2 for either side. I'm just folding the fabric into 2 and ironing. I did first for the back and I'll do same for the front. Once I was done ironing, I placed my pattern piece I cut off for the band and traced it on my fabric. I left 2 inches seam allowance to, since that was what I did for the other parts. You are going to be doing this for the front as well, but please remember to add your zipper allowance for the back as you do so. I sewed the bias strip on my back piece before joining the lining. I've joined I've placed my lining on my fabric and I'll be sewing on the fabric. I'm repeating same for the front. Once I'm done sewing the fabric, I'm just placing my hairstay inside of it, and I'll move it straight to the edge of the hem to iron things together. This is my back piece, and I'm just marking the half an inch on either side as I said earlier for the front. Once I'm done, I'll just place the shiny parts and pin it down. When you're done, it's just a matter of stitching it down on the zipper allowance side. This is my band. I'm done sewing it, and I'm going to be notching to reduce seam bulk. I'm going to be patient through this process. Once I'm done, I'm going to be turning my fabric over and ironing. You are going to be sewing the front of your band to the back using the 2 inch seam allowance you left earlier. And then I've sewn my front and back piece together. It's important to sew them first before attaching the band. When I'm done, I'm just going to pin down my waistband to the skirts. And so when I'm done sewing, I'm going to attach my zip, and boom, our skirt is ready. This is how I rocked it to church. And guess what? Everyone loved my dress. Thanks and bye.